So let us start the lecture. Now, when we are talking about Kalpabhyas, the first question comes to our mind is it really essential? You will be having a verse from Bhagavad, which is a famous verse, famous for its importance as Dashavidha Pariksha, which is a unique point mentioned in Ayurveda. It is rightly said that half of your job is done if you can make correct diagnosis, correct nidan. And these points are to be considered if you want to make correct diagnosis. This is what the verse clearly mentions. But the question here is half job is done, but what about remaining half? So obviously remaining half is selection of the treatment modalities, and obviously the drugs or other chikitsa, whatever you will be using in your practice. I would like to emphasize this sutra again. Sukshma Sukshmaha Samiksha Aisham Doshaushadha Nirupani. So it is here clearly mentioned that these factors should be taken into consideration for diagnosis of dosha as well as for aushadha, for selection of treatment modalities, upakram what we call, as well as selection of drugs. These factors need to be considered. So it is quite clear that the kalpa should be studied in details. Aushadha nirupana should be done in details. And the last line says, the one who can do this precisely never fails in chikitsa. So half part or more than 50% of the part is diagnosis, but the remaining half part, execution of the treatment, is essential, and that's for that purpose selection of drugs or kalpabhyas is equally important. So that's what we will be doing for Yogaraj Gugul in this lecture. Now it's quite clear now that kalpabhyas is to be done. The next question comes, how we can study any kalpa, how we can study any formulations. You all are aware of the fact that there are thousands of formulations mentioned in the text, thousands of formulations. And in our clinical practice, if you ask any Vaidya, some Vaidya might be practicing with less formulations, some with more formulations, but the number may not go beyond a particular number like 100, 200, 300. And as I said earlier, there are thousands of preparations, formulations mentioned in the text. So how we can study them? Here, the simple line, the basic line to study any kalpa is obviously 3 steps. The first one is adhikar of that kalpa, the chikitsa chapter in which that kalpa is mentioned, adhikaran of that particular kalpa. The second thing obviously is phalashruti, indications mentioned in that kalpa. And third thing is what are the ingredients, the constitutions, the herbs or the basmas which are used in that formulation. I am aware of the fact that these are not the only factors to be considered for studying any kalpa, but these make a basic guideline for studying any kalpa. We'll be doing this for Yogaraj Gugul for today. Now, why this is important and why each factor is important? See, we are going to be, you may be a student at this point or a practitioner. Anyway, for selection of kalpa, you need to study these 3 things. The patients come to you with 2 things. The first thing and foremost thing, they mention their symptoms to you. These days, patients come with a lot of conventional reports which they are doing or investigations which we come across, but the symptoms. Now, let me ask or let me clarify this point. If a person comes to you with angamarda, body ache, now there will be n number of formulations used by different Vaidyas. How you are going to select yours is the question. Now, if I ask any student or any practitioner, or we ask ourselves, we can list some formulations which are commonly practiced. But the question comes, Are we going to do, are we quacks? Surely not. We are qualified Vaidyas. So we should not do what is famously known as nuskhebazi. If a person comes to you with angamarda, body ache, which kalpas can be used? The obvious question obviously comes to diagnosis. If the body ache is related to, say, jwara, fever, your answer might be something like Sudarshan Churna. And if the answer is, or the diagnosis is something like Vata Vyadhi, your answer might be Yogaraj Gugul. So, adhikar of a particular formulation is very important for selecting any drug. I would like to share interesting case here at this point. Though it is not directly related to Yogaraj Gugul, I am trying to emphasize the point that adhikar is very important in selection of any kalpa. Last month itself, I came across a couple of cases. I would like to share one case in few minutes. The person was having abdominal pain, udara shula, in hypochondriac region. On day one, he went to a general practitioner who gave him some painkiller. The pain was subsided for some time, but the next day the pain was again there. So uh, he had gone through an ultrasound sonography where there were two incidental findings, one of gallbladder stone and one finding was renal calculi. The sizes of both these stones or calculi were so small that actually they were not at all related with that pain, with that udara shula. So the practitioner or the consultant whom he visited gave him some another painkiller. And on day 3, he visited me because the pain was not getting subsided. And fortunately for me, there were skin lesions resembling Visarpa on that day. So I think you are getting the point that if you can select proper adhikaran of any formulation, the result will be enormous. Like if you can diagnose that Visarpa on day 1, you have apparently gone with the formulations mentioned in Visarpa Chikitsa. I know it is difficult to diagnose these kind of Visarpa on day 1, but on day 1, otherwise, if we have selected any formulation from Vata Vyadhi or say Amla Pitta, Udarashul, it would have been gone wrong. But on day 3, I was, as I said, fortunate enough that the person came to me on day 3 and I selected a formulation from Visarpa, and within say hours, his pain was gone. So adhikaran, selection of adhikaran for any kalpa or for any diagnosis is very important. The second thing is Falashruti. Now, as a practitioner or as a clinicians, what we need to do is the person, as I was mentioning earlier, the patients do come to us with their symptoms. As a Vaidya, it's our role to diagnose the case and then use precise treatment modalities. Now, let me give you simple examples of Falashruti or indications how it can be used effectively in your treatments. I will be giving examples of Amavat Chikitsa itself today because Yogaraj Gugul is a formulation from Amavat Chikitsa. Now, if a person comes to you with, say, pain in the ankle joint, Gulfashul. Now, depending on, and we are now talking about Amavata as Adhikaran. So, the diagnosis is confirmed as Amavata. Now, how you can select, because there are n number of formulations mentioned in Amavat. There is Yogaraj Gugul, there is Simhanath Gugul, there are many decoctions, Kashaya formulations. Now, depending on Falashruti, how you can select any kalpa. So, I was giving example of pain in ankle, Gulfashul or Janghashul, just by looking at the Falashruti, the indications of formulations, I would go with Rasna Saptaka Kashaya, mentioned in Amavat Chikitsa, in which there is clear mention of Gulfashul. Let me take another example. If the person comes to you with Kati Shula, on the basis of Falashruti, analysis of Falashruti, you can select Shunti Gokshura Kwatha. In this formulation, there is a clear mention of Kati Shula. Another example, if a person comes to you with pain in the shoulder joint, Ausa Shula, and your diagnosis is confirmed as Amavata, just depending on or analyzing Falashrutis, you can select Ajamodadi Churna, which is a formulation from Amava Chikitsa itself and having Falashruti as Vishwachi. So I'm just trying to emphasize the importance of Falashruti mentioned in any particular kalpa. Or there is another example of a famous formulation you might be knowing, Vata Gajendra Singha. This formulation is mentioned in Amavata Chikitsa, and its Falashruti, there is mention of it is Vrusha or Shukrala or Mausa Vardhana. So, if I need these effects in the patient of Amavat, I would prefer this formulation. So, depending on the indications of the formulations, you can select precise drug or precise formulation. And obviously, the third one is ingredients of the formulation. In some form, you may come across many formulations where Falashruti is not mentioned. You know the Adhikar, but the Falashruti is not mentioned. So whether there is mention of Falashruti or there is no mention of Falashruti, you can study the formulation on the basis of ingredients. This is a very simple way of analyzing any formulation. Mind it well, there are two obviously things when we talk of ingredients. One is there can be Prakruti Sama Samavaya. You know the terms, so I'm not going in details, but there can be Prakruti Sama Samavaya and there can be Vikruti Vishama Samavaya of the ingredients. So you need to consider these factors too while learning ingredients. Like you know that Yogaraj Gugul and Sivanath Gugul both are the formulations from Amavat Chikitsa. So will my selection depend on the availability of drug? No, not at all. My selection or our selection should depend on the analysis of Adhikar Falashrutis as well as ingredients. Now, if you simply analyze ingredients of Yogaraj Gugul and Sivanath Gugulu, you will come to know that the easiest point, I'm just making one point over here, the easiest point or the simplest point we can get is castor oil, Eranda Sneha in Sivanath Gugul. So obviously, it can be used as a Virechaka herb or Virechak formulation. So when there is excess accumulation of dosha in a person of Amavat, you may have to select Sivanath Gugul and not Yogaraj Gugul. So all it depends on the ingredients. So basically, if a famous book of on formulations, there are many books related to that, but which is commonly practiced by many Vaidyas is a book from which is in Marathi actually. It is the writer or the Vaidya author of that book is Gunesh Shastri. You will find at the end of every formulation he has mentioned the ingredients and how they will be acting in this particular formulation. So this is a quick review of how any kalpa can be studied on the basis of adhikaran, on the basis of Falashruti, and on the basis of its ingredients. Now the next slide. If we are talking of a particular disease called Amavat, here is a list of some formulations mentioned in Amavat. There are a lot of formulations mentioned in various texts, but I have listed some commonly used formulations just for the sake of understanding. Now, here is a mention of some Gugulu formulations, some Kashaya formulations, and some Sneha formulations. Now, if a person comes to you with, say, any pain in multiple joints or any single joint, and you are diagnosing the case as Amavata, obviously the next question comes, when one should use Yogaraj Gugulu, when one should use Maharasnadi Kashayam, or when one should use Vishagarbha Tailam. So for these, as a clinician, you need to understand every kalpa which is commonly practiced, or in fact, it is your duty to analyze each and every kalpa mentioned in the text for the sake of its precise use. Now, I have discussed briefly about Yogaraj and Sivanath, so not going in those details now, but there should be a clear indication from the basic principles of Ayurveda that where Gugulu Kalpas should be used and where Sneha Kalpa should be used. It is quite clear. Obviously, one should not use or one will never use Sneha formulations, Kruta formulations in Sama stage of the disease, and Gugul or Kashai formulations will be the drug of or the Bhaishajya Kalpana of choice at this point. So even in a particular disease, you have to study which Vaishajya Kalpana are mentioned and how at which stage they are to be used. For Gugulu formulations, we are going to study in details, but while studying any Kalpa, you need to assess these parameters. As mentioned in the previous slide, the three parameters, basic parameters, and as mentioned here, the different Bhaishajya Kalpana of the particular herbs or the particular drugs need to be understood in order to use them in precisely in the treatment part. Now, I think this is sufficient with basic understanding of Kalpabhyas. Let us go to our today's formulation, which is Yogaraj Gugul. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the adhikar of this formulation is Amavata. Now, there are many formulations labeled as Yogaraj Gugul. Basically, the commonest used formulation which we get, which is prepared by different pharmacies, or even many Vaidyas prepare this part, there are many formulations, this part which is from Amavat Chikitsa. We generally tend to make the mistake, we feel that it is from Sandhigata Vata or Vata Vyadhi, but mind well, the commonly practiced Yogaraj Gugul is from Amavat Chikitsa. Second point, the reference to this is Bhaishajya Ratnavali. So I'm just quoting the reference so that you can go through the texts and you can compare or read in details in these chapters. The dose of Yogaraj Gugulu. Now there is a thing called Mahayogaraj Gugulu. Everyone knows it and everyone has seen it using or maybe might have used it. In Mahayogaraj Gugul, the dosage of the tablet mentioned is 1 shan, which comes to approximately 3 grams. There is no clear mention in Yogaraj Gugul as such, but in Mahayogaraj Gugul it is mentioned. This is the tablet size. In today's practice, you come across generally tablet size is 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams generally. But in what amount or what dosage it should be used, there is a clear guideline, not in this particular Gugul formulation, this is for general Gugulu formulations. In Sharangdhar Samhita, the dosage mentioned for Gugulu formulations is 4, 8, 12 grams. So for Uttama Matra, for maximum dosage is 12 grams. Obviously, this will be for per day basis. The minimum dose, Hina dose, will be 4 grams and the intermediate dose will be 8 grams. Now, apart from this, the last point here mentioned is maximum matra is 1 pala per day. Now, there is an interesting thing. Only in one Bruhatrayi text called Ashtanga Sangraha, there is a Rasayan, in Rasayan chapter, there is clear mention of Gugulu Rasayan. Now, I have obviously, by the use of Atidesha Tantra, I have quoted this reference from that part. There, it is clearly mentioned that maximum dose of Gugulu while using as Rasayana, it should not, it is 1 pala, that is 40 grams per day. This is the maximum dose. So, for practical purposes, we generally use 2 tablets, 3 tablets, 4 tablets once or twice a day, and so on. I will, while sharing experiences, I will tell my experiences with Yogaraj Gugul. Anupana, which is mentioned, obviously Ushnodaka, hot water, and in Ashtanga Sangraha chapter of Gugulu Rasayan, on the basis of Dosha Pradhanya, these 3 Anupana are mentioned. Like Vata Pradhan Dosha Prakop, Mausaras is to be used. For Pitta predominant Dosha Prakop, milk, Godugdha is to be used. And for Kapha predominant Dosha Prakop, Gomutra should be used. Now, See, these are the textual references. You will come across many decoctions, many Kashaya formulations to be used as Anupana in Mahayogaraj Gugul. In Mahayogaraj Gugul, like for Vata Vyadhi, it should be used with Rasnadi Kashaya. For Pitta Vyadhi, it should be used with Kakolyadi Kashaya, and so on. I'm not going in details of that part right now. But depending on the conditions, you may select any other Anupana. These are the common Anupanas mentioned in the text. Now, in as a Pathya, in Mahayogaraj Gugul specifically, there is a clear mention that Yatheshta Ahar can be taken. So the person or the patient can have whatever he wants. But you should understand that there is a Samanya Pathya for Gugulu. We are going to talk about this point in contraindications where Yogaraj Gugul or any Gugul should not be used. So I'm just mentioning it here quickly. So just a quick summary, it is from Amavad Chikitsa. The standard dosage, maximum dosage can be 40 grams per day. And generally speaking, 10 grams a day is what is commonly practiced, 10 grams or lesser than that. Anupana is Ushnodaka or Mausarasa, Godugdha or Gomutra. And there are Samanya Pathya mentioned for Gugulu formulations. We'll be talking about that later. Now, let us start one by one with Yogaraj Gugulu. The name itself indicates it is Yoga Raja. It is the king of yogas. You will come across this name for Yogaraj Churna, similar to Tapyadi Loha in Pandu Chikitsa. This is Yoga Raja, means the name itself indicates that it is a king of formulations. It can be used at multiple sites. So let us go through the ingredients. I will not be reading all ingredients. There are 28 ingredients in total, out of which 27 are the herbs. Those are to be taken in same proportion, and whatever proportion is the mixture, Gugulu should be taken in that amount. So 50% of Gugulu and 50% of these herbs is what there is mention of as ingredients. Now, you should understand this point that any formulation is labeled as Gugulu if it contains 50% or more of Gugulu as one of the ingredients. Now, this is not a thumb rule, but for practical purposes, this is considered as Gugulu formulation if it contains 50% or more of Gugulu as ingredients. Now, let us go through the analysis of ingredients. Now, it can be easily done. Now, there are many softwares available. You have Bhav Prakash Nigantu and all these Nigantus available. So, what you can do is you can list the ingredients. You can get the verses of all ingredients. You can put the Rasavirya, Vipak and all these stuffs. As I am aware of the fact that there are PG students, there are practitioners. I have not done this, but for analysis purpose, a simple thing is done is if you go through these ingredients, you will come across two things which are which should which is a spot thing in your mind. The first thing is the ingredients are Katu rasa predominant in nature, and I'm using a specific term Deepaniya in nature. The list of ingredients is mentioned. You can see it on your screen, which is Shadushana, Yavani, Ajmoda, Jirak, and all this stuff. So Deepaniya in nature. I'm using the term Deepaniya, not Pachaniya. These are Katu rasa predominant, not Tikta rasa predominant. And the second thing you can analyze is they are Vatagna in nature. So there are some herbs which are Vatagna in nature. Now I would like to put a point here that one can analyze the ingredients by different ways. Charak himself says at one point that bhetta hi bhedyam anyatha bhinatti. So depending on the criteria, you can analyze this on many grounds. But for the simple purpose, simple analysis could be there is a set of herbs which are Deepaniya in nature, and there is a set of herbs which are Vatagna in nature. The Vatagna herbs are Deodar, Kushtha, Rasna, Gokshur, and important part one is Gugulu, which is a Vatagna herb. Now, if you look at, so just to sum up, the ingredients of Yogaraj Gugul are basically Deepaniya in nature and Vatagna in nature. If you go through the Deepaniya Mahakashaya of Charak Sutra 4th chapter, you will come across at least 6 to 7 herbs are mentioned here. So it is Deepaniya and Vatagna in nature. Now let us compare this with the Falashruti, the indications mentioned in the text. The Falashruti mentioned here is Amavat, Adhyavat and all these stuffs you can see on your screen. Now, I would like to point or comment on these each and every part of this Falashruti where you can use Yogaraj Google theoretically. Experiences will be shared later. So obviously a Kalpa form Amavat Chikitsa, so it is to be used in Amavata. I would like to underline the fact that in the last column you will come across three things. One is it is Agni Deepana in nature. If you just quickly recall what we talked at the last slide, the drugs are Deepaniya in nature. So Falashruti, there is a clear mention of Agni Deepan. So the point here I would like to make is it is a formulation of example of Prakruti Samasamavaya. It is Agni Deepana in nature. The next thing, it is having Falashruti as Vata Roga, even to the extent of Sandhya and Majja. And the third point, it creates Teja and Bala Vruddhi. So these are some basic guidelines where you can use Yogaraj Gugul as a part of Deepana. While using Deepana herbs, you can select Yogaraj Gugul. Then even to the disorders of Sandhya and Majja, you can use it. And for Bala and Teja Vruddhi, you can use it. Now, when we talk of Agni Deepana, see here is a list of diseases where Agni is a predominant factor, like Udara, Gulma, Anaha, Arsha and Pliha. All these 5 things where Agni Manya is a predominant factor in Samprapti. Now, while reading Falashruti of any Kalpa, this thing always fascinates me, and this is really important to understand why there is a mention of all this stuff. For example, have you seen any Vaidya using Yogaraj Gugul in Udar Chikitsa? You may have seen, but this is obviously not a thing to be used in Udar Chikitsa to start with. So mind it well, when there is a Falashruti list of diseases, there are 2 commonly given explanations. One thing is, as we know that this is a formulation from Amavat Chikitsa, if the person, the patient, is having these symptoms, Udara Vruddhi, there may be Jalasanchiti or not, if the person is having these symptoms as a part of Samprapti of Amavat, this formulation is perfect. I will repeat this point. If the person whose diagnosis is Amavat, if he or she is having these symptoms, either all of them or some of them, this formulation should be selected. And even if there is a second thing, if a person is having Vyadhi Sankara, so the person is having Amavat separately and the person is having Udar at the same time, you may use or you can use this formulation. Obviously, we know that in Udar, as a part of Chikitsa of Udara, Virechan is the first mode of treatment. But if Amavata is the diagnosis and Udar is a condition, Anaha is the condition, Arsha is the condition, you must have to select Yogaraj Gugul as a part of treatment. Obviously, again, this example can be used for Arsha too. If a person of Amavat as your Nidana is having Arsha as a part of Vyadhi Sankara or as a part of its Lakshana, as one of the Lakshanas of Amavata, then Yogaraj Gugul is to be used. Now, there is a different, so related to Agni, these 5 Vyadhis, Udara, Anaha, Arsha, Gulma and Pliha. Obviously, Amavat is the first one, Vata Rog is the obvious one. There are 3 other interesting things. I will start with Krumi and Dushtavrana first. So, if we are talking of Krumi, obviously, the first line of treatment which will come to your mind is some formulation of Vidanga and all these things. So, you may use Vidanga, you may use something like Aragvat Kapilavati and all these things. But mind it well, if there is excess clay in the body, which is a part of pathology of Krumi, Samprapti of Krumi, and there is intense pain, Yogaraj Gugul can be used in Krumi. Obviously, if the person is having Amavata and Krumi, this is a precise formulation. And same thing appears for Dushta Vrana. Obviously, for Vrana, there might be different Gugulu formulations which you can use, like Saptavimshati Gugulu, Trifala Gugulu. But for pain purpose, for management of the pain, if the pain is more, there is excess clay in the body, in the Vrana, you may have to use Yogaraj Gugul as your first drug of choice. Obviously, not as the part of the whole treatment. Just to relieve that pain, you can use Yogaraj Gugul. And I would like to talk about Vata Rog and Adhyavat then. While talking about Vata Roga, it is a most commonly used formulation. Yogaraj Gugul is the most commonly used formulation. Mind it well. Obviously, you need to differentiate between Yogaraj Gugul, Kaishor Gugulu, Lakshadi Gugulu, Trayodashanga Gugulu, and so on. Obviously, if we know that Yogaraj Gugulu is to be used as Deepana in nature, it is a Deepana in nature. So whenever there is Sama stage, Sama Avastha of Vata Roga, it is the drug of choice. In Nirama stage, you may go with some Kaishor Gugulu or other Gugulus. And if you want to nourish body tissues like Asthya and Majja, you may prefer Trayodashanga and Lakshadi Gugulu. So as a clinician, as a practitioner, you need to differentiate in which avastha of the disease Yogaraj Gugul is a part of Vatarog Chikitsa. So obviously it is Sama stage of these diseases. In Sama stage, it is to be used. You can use it for external application as lepa purpose to for dosha pachan in Vataroga. Now let us come to next one, Adhyavata. Now mind well, Adhya Roga and Adhya Vata are two different things. Adhya Roga is Vata Rakta, and here there is mention of Adhya Vata. Adhya Vata is nothing but Medavruta Vata. Why I am talking about this point at the last is because here there is a clear differentiation where Yogaraj Gugul is to be used. If you refer to Agre Sangraha mentioned in Vagbhat, where there is clear mention that Medonile Gugulu formulations or Gugulu is to be used when there is involvement of Meda Dhatu and Vata. And Adhyavata is nothing but one pathology of these two bodily factors, Meda Avruta Vata. So for Adhyavata, this is a drug of choice. In today's practice, I can share you many cases treated on this line with Yogaraj Gugulu, Adhyavata, and the last or the first one is Amavata. Now, from the ingredients, from the analysis of Falashruti, it is quite clear that Yogaraj Gugul in Amavata is to be used in early stages as Sama stage of the disease and or Samavastha of the disease. Obviously, in later conditions, there will be another formulations which are to be used. So, just a quick analysis of the Falashruti. It is to be used in Kapha Meda Dushti. I have already quoted the references of the same. It is to be used in Vata Prakop, especially associated with Ama or Margavarodha. You are aware of these terms, Margavarodha and Dhatukshaya. Obviously, in Dhatukshaya predominant Vata Vyadhis, this is not the drug of choice, mind it well. In some stages, at some stages, you can use it with milk or Mausarasa, but it is to be predominantly used. If you can analyze the ingredients and Falashruti, if you look at them, it is especially used in the Vyadhis which are with Ama or having Margavarod as the chief factor in the body. Then it is to be used in Vata Prakop. This Vata Prakop can be in Koshtha region, in Shakha region, in Madhyam Marga, everywhere. So there is no such specific thing only in Koshtha Vyadhis this is to be used. It can be used for Vata Prakop in Sama stage all over the body. Then it can be used as Kleda Shoshana, especially in Krumi and Dushta Vrana. You are aware of the fact that Tikta, Katu and Kashaya Rasa are Kleda Shoshana in nature, and Yogaraj Gugul is having Katu Rasa predominant dravyas. So for Kleda Shoshana, Ama, Pachana, this formulation is to be used. This is just the analysis of the Falashruti. And the last is it is Shulagna. There is a clear mention, as I mentioned earlier, that Medonile Gugulu. In Vata Vyadhis, it is to be used, especially as I mentioned earlier, Kafavarojjanya, Margavarojjanya Vata Prakop, it is to be used. Now, let us quickly understand the Samprapti of Amavata. See, we will not going in the details of this, but to understand what happens and where Yogaraj will be effective, this understanding is basic understanding is a must. You have to refer Madhav Nidan for Amavata Samprapti, though the word Amavata is used at many sites in Brihatrayi. There is the Nidan Panchak as a separate thing is mentioned in Madhav Nidan to start with, and obviously the Chikitsa is mentioned in Vaishajya Ratnavali, Yoga Ratnakara and later texts. Now, the Mandagni is the main factor in Amavata. The starter, the precursor is Mandagni. Why I'm highlighting this, I will not read all the stuffs, but why I'm highlighting this is we have seen that Yogaraj Gugul is having Deepaniya herbs, and the starting point of Amavata is Mandagni. Now, what is big thing in it? Is it a rocket science? No. In Jwara there is also Mandagni, but the latter part of Samprapti, what we call Prasara and Sthana Saushraya, these stuffs differ from Jwara Chikitsa or from Udara Chikitsa also, because Mandagni is a common factor for many diseases. Now there are some specific hetus mentioned as Bhuktottara Vyayam, which leads to expulsion of this arm formed by Mandagni into Shakha, and it follows Rasadhatu, and it gets Sthana Saushraya in Shleshma Sthana or specifically Triksandhi. Now, if you refer to the symptoms of Amavata, we generally tend to get Amavata. If we try to visualize the patient of Amavata, we generally come across some swollen joints or some there is vakrata in the joints. But mind well, there are two specific avastha mentioned in the text. One is where there is joint involvement, which is called as pravruddha amavata. And the first, if you look at the symptoms of the primary stages of amavata, that is nothing but sama stage of any disease. If you refer the sutra, it is angamardo aruchi trushna alasyam gauravam jwaraha apakashunata anganam amavatasya lakshanam. There is no involvement, there is no mention of involvement of joints specifically. All these signs are of ama and srotarod and all these things. So obviously at this point Yogaraj Gugul works best. Even when there is joint involvement, Yogaraj Gugul works, but specifically in Sama stage of the disease. This is very important. Mind it well. And we'll just quickly go through the Chikitsa Sutra of Amavata. And I have highlighted, I'm not reading this whole sutra, but I have highlighted the things Deepanani Katu Nicha. Langanam Swedanam Tikta Deepanani Katu Nicha. So if you refer to the formulations of Amavata Chikitsa, you will come across some Tikta Rasa formulations, some Katu Rasa formulations. Obviously, we know that Tikta Rasa is more Pachana in nature and Katu Rasa is more Deepana in nature, considering its Mahabhuta predominance. But Deepanani, so you can use Tikta Deepana or Katu Deepana too, or Katu Rasa herbs too, and Yogaraj Gugul fits at this point, Katu Deepana. Because it is not Virechan in nature, it is not obviously a Sneha drug, Sneha Pana. So in this particular site, Yogaraj Gugul is to be used. Mind it well. I will share the experiences and explain how and where it is to be used. Now in Amavata, if you look at the guna mentioned, in Amavata there is in Samprapti Sutra, there is a clear mention of Snigdha, Guru and Pichila guna of Ama. And if you refer to Gugulu for the sutra for Gugulu, there is a clear mention of exactly opposite gunas, Ruksha, Lagu and Vishada. We come across Snigdha, Ruksha, Guru, Lagu at many instances, but this Vishada guna, Shalane Vishada, which is having cleansing properties, which can be effectively used in Ama stages, is mentioned as a clear thing in Yogaraj Gugulu. So in Amavata, for Deepana, Yogaraj Gugul is the best drug of choice, is the one-liner. Now, obviously, before going to some cases, I would like to give you some precautions where Gugul is to be cautiously used. The first line is the verse from Bhavaprakash Nigantu, where it is said that Samanya Pathya for Gugulu, any Gugulu. This is not specific for Yogaraj Gugulu only. For any Gugulu formulations, you should follow these things. it is clearly said that Amla, Tikshna, Ajirna, Vyavaya, Shrama, Atapa, Madhya, and Krodha. These things should be avoided while using Gugulu. Now, it is clear from this line that though it is said as Tridoshagna and all these things, you will come across most of the formulations of Gugulu come in Vata Kapha predominant conditions. When there is Pitta Anubandha, you should use Gugulu with caution. While giving any Gugulu formulations, you should ask the patient, insist the patient to avoid such things. It is very important. Otherwise, what is famously called side effects these days will come. Our texts clearly say that even if poison is used precisely, it can be used as effective medicine. So, mind it well, while using Gugulu, these things are to be insisted to the patient. And there is a list of symptoms called Atiyoga Lakshanani of Gugulu. This is not for precise for Yogaraj Gugulu. This is for any Gugulu. As while using Gugulu, you should look at these symptoms. So if you are having these symptoms of your, so you need to assess the patient repeatedly while using Gugulu formulations. If any of these symptoms are there, you should stop that formulation and shift to some other formulation. If you look at this list, it is from Ashtanga Sangraha Uttar Tantra chapter 39. Timira, Karsha, Mukhashosha, Moha, Deha Rauksha, Klaibya, and Druta Purisha. So if you are using Gugulu for any patient, you can label this as excess Ruksha Guna in the body. And it can work to the extent of Shukra Dhatu. So while using Gugulu, mind it well that you need to assess the patient for these conditions, for these symptoms. And you need to stop Gugulu at the right time. Now, it is always said that Ayurveda, there is no clear standardization. See, this is the standardization. There are many sites where you can label it as standardization in today's words. Now, there is no clear mention of particular time period. Obviously, it will not be there. Because if the person is having Sama stage and you need 15 days for Pachan and Deepan of the thing, after 15 days you may come across these symptoms. And if there might be need of say 3 months, and after 3 months, use of 3 months, you may get these symptoms. So time period will not be mentioned. These are the symptoms which you need to look for as a contraindication for Gugulu, or at this point, Gugulu should be stopped and some other formulations should be used. Now, I would like to share some of my experiences. Precisely, I have not selected any particular case. I will talk about different cases at different points because you all are aware of the fact that there is no such thing as only Yogaraj Gugul is used and the patient is treated completely with Dhamma. It is not the case. We have seen the Chikitsa Sutra too. I will share some of my experiences in Amavata to start with. Now, we have seen that Langana, Svedana, Tikta, Deepana, Katu, this is the line of Chikitsa Sutra of Amavata. So as a routine practice, first I would like to share what I generally practice. So I prefer Langana to start with. And when you say Langana, obviously I prefer Laghu Ashana Langana. And simultaneously, I prefer to start with some Pachana or Deepan formulation in Amavat patients. When I say Pachana, it may generally practiced once is Ajamodadi Churna, Rasna Pancha Kashaya, or Yogaraj Gugulu. Now for you, I will be sticking to Yogaraj Gugulu at this point. When I use Yogaraj Gugulu as a Pachan or Deepana thing in Amavat in early stages, what I prefer is the general dose I use is 2 tablets 3 times a day. At some instances, I have used 4 tablets, but in general, I use 2 tablets. That comes to 1.5 grams per day. Obviously, depending on the condition, you can use more. I have seen prescription of some Vaidyas effectively using Yogaraj Gugul, even 10 tablets 3 times a day. Mind it well, you are knowing the boundaries of this now. Depending on the condition, you know the maximum dose which you can use. So you can prefer, but I generally start with 2 tablets 3 times a day. And I prefer to stick with Laghu Ashana Langana. So ask my patients to have lunch at the normal time. And for dinner, I generally prefer to use Mudga Yusha or Saptamushtika Yusha, mentioned in Amavat Chikitsa. and the person obviously demands for some painkiller. Now, Yogaraj Gugul is a perfect formulation for this purpose. For this purpose, mind it well. And I have used it in many patients in this manner. And generally, when you can assess the patient for Sama conditions, when once Samata is gone, you can stop Langhana. You may continue for Yogaraj Gugul for some 7 days or 15 days later, and then there is a need to shift to next treatment protocol, which is Virechana, and then later the next protocol is Snehapana. Mind it really well. So when Google should be started, when it should be used in Amavad, in early stages, in some stages of the disease, and later you need to shift to some Virechana things, or later with Snehapana like Shunthi Gruta or Kanjika Shatpala Gruta and so on. So in early stages is the key point. Now mind it well, if when I say early stages, you may come across many parallel conditions these days. This is really a very clinical thing, that uh, these days people do come to us with reports. So as a Vaidya, I request you all to not get uh, hampered with that condition, that if a person talks to you and gets the report that if it's RA positive, don't label it as Amavad. The Amavad patients, if you talk to many senior Vaidyas, you will come to know that even RA negative test may be diagnosed as Amavad. Even uric acid positive, generally it is translated as Vatarakta. Even those patients can be Amavad. And these days, some extensive things like SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, even these cases can be Amavad. So mind it well. You need to diagnose the patient on your lines. This is the first thing. Now, Amavata and Vata Rakta most of the times are like intermingled. Even in Vata Rakta, in some stages, Yogaraj Gugul can be effectively used. Even can be preferred over Kaishor Gugulu in some stages. Mind it well. And I generally prefer to use Yogaraj Gugulu in Megasvi patients because it works really well on Mega Dhatu. So if the person is really crucial but having some which I won't go with Gugulu, I generally prefer to use decoctions, Kashai. So in Mega predominant patients, it is to be used. And there is another thing which is to be kept in mind as a clinician. You may come across many patients these days. Generally, at the start of the practice, you come across the early stages of Amavata. But these days, you will come across many patients, even in your early stages of practice, which are on some disease modifying agents, which are on some immunosuppressants. So they will come to you with a diagnosis of something like rheumatoid arthritis. Don't translate it. I request you, don't translate it immediately as Amavata. You just take the case. Many a times what happens is when we start taking case history of the patient, there is no symptom as such at that point, that particular point, because some methotrexate is going on, some steroid is going on, and the patient is having no symptoms. So you need to assess the patient. I have tapered down these disease modifying agents. Generally, I request the patient to talk to his doctor and get the dose reduced, but the doctors are not ready generally. If the patient is willing, I have successfully done this with many patients to reduce the dosage of even methotrexate, and the patient is fine with Ayurvedic management, and even to the point that even Ayurvedic treatment is stopped. So you can do every possible thing, but don't get confused with these labels of conventional medicine. You need to assess the patient on your parameters. This should be your criteria. So all these things are taken into consideration, or should be taken into consideration. I prefer to do this. And in any some stages of Sandhigata Vata 2, I use Yogaraj Gugulu. And generally, as I mentioned, the dose is generally 2 tablets 3 times a day. Generally, in Sandhigata Vata, along with that, I prefer to use Vishagarbha Tel in Sama stages mainly. In Amavat, I generally avoid Vishagarbha stages to start with, because you know that in Amavad the doshas are shifting in nature, which is commonly said Vrishchika Damshava pain, and they are shifting in nature. So generally, if one joint is affected and you apply the oil even before dosha pachana, that joint gets relief and another joint is affected, which is a natural course of the disease. So, but in Sandhigata Vata, in Sama stage, you can, I prefer to use Vishagarbha Tel or Valuka Pottali along with Yogaraj Guggulu to start with. And once Sama stage is gone, you need to follow the protocol of Vata Vyadhi, where Yogaraj Guggul or these formulations are to be stopped, and you should stick up to the lines of Vata Vyadhi Chikitsa, which is Snehapana predominant. Now, next thing is Mausa Medogata Vata. In Medodushti, Guggulu formulations are to be used, is quite clear now. Even in Mausa Medogata, where there is intense pain, the patient complains of specific pains at specific sites. If you want, in today's language, there is muscular spasms, there is bursitis, there is synovitis. In all these kinds of pains, mind it well, I'm just using these terms for you to understand. But if there is some stage of this disease, obviously how it can be assessed by the examination of jiva, by nadi pariksha, by udara pariksha, by the hetuts of the patient, causative factors. And if some stage is present in these conditions, Yogaraj Guggul is the first drug of choice. You start using Yogaraj Guggul even to a point that in some patients of intense pain, I have used Yogaraj Guggul. Obviously, there are many patients I have treated with Bhagna, and in Bhagna stage, obviously, you will prefer some Dhara or Lakshadi Guggulu. But when there is no Bhagna, but there is Aghataja injury to the Dhatus, and there is typically, if you try to get the conventional diagnosis, it comes to some bursitis, synovitis, or something, there is joint effusion kind of stuffs. Yogaraj Guggul, I have used maximum doses 4 tablets at one time. The pain gets subsided. Then you can reassess the patient. The shoth is gone, and then you can reassess the patient and then start with the next things. So, as an excellent Shulagna thing in Mausomedogotavat, I have practiced in many patients. Now, other than Amavata, there are many sites where Yogaraj Guggulu can be used. I have quoted some sites. Obviously, in Shula predominant conditions, I have used this. In Udara Shula, as I said earlier, obviously in Udara Shula, the obvious drugs of choice are Ingvashtak Churna, Shankhavati, and all these things. But if there is Samavastha and Kapha predominant Avastha, the patient is having Medodushti predominantly, Yogaraj Guggul should be used along with some other medication. And in Pitta predominant conditions, you may have to use it with milk, but otherwise, generally, Yogaraj Guggul along with some something like the extract of Ajmoda. It is very popular and it is very commonly practiced by me. Then in Arsha Shula, even it can be used. Obviously, the first drug of choice is Triphala Guggulu, but in some stages, you already have gone through the Samprapti of Arsha. Mandagni and Samavastha is the condition. So to treat simultaneously the pain as well as the Sama stage of the disease, Yogaraj Guggul can be preferred to obviously to a certain point. And I have used Yogaraj Guggul extensively in Netra Shula. I'm fortunate enough to have many patients of Netra Roga. Obviously, I can quote you some diagnosis like in Abhishanda, in conjunctivitis. In Abhishanda, conjunctivitis is will be very short or very precise term, but Abhishanda is a very broad term. In Abhishanda, obviously there is a mention of Bidalaka and say some Ashchotana or Nasya to start with as Shulagna thing, but generally patient demands of some tablet, and I have used it in many sites in Abhishanda as a painkiller to reduce the shul. Even I can recall a patient who was having iridocyclitis. I have used for the pain purpose only. I have used Yogaraj Guggul in many patients. At least I can recall now 4 or 5 patients in iridocyclitis to reduce that pain. So in the pain of Abhishanda as well as iridocyclitis, I have used it precisely in Sama stages. Mind it well. Now just a quick summary of where Yogaraj Guggul is to be practiced. So it is to be used in Shula predominant stages where there is extensive pain, intense pain. It is to be used in Sama Avastha. It is to be used in Margavarodha Janya Vata Prakop, and This is a caution. It is, though it is said to be a Tridoshagna formulation, it is to be avoided in Pitta predominant or Pitta Anubandhi Avastha. So I hope I am clear with this. Thank you all for your patient hearing. If there are any questions, I think we can go ahead with them. Thank you all.